Everyone, I am Dr. Monica. I am a clinician, a counselor here at Tree of Life Counseling Center, and I wanted to take, just a couple of moments to sit and chat, right? I've been noticing something within my own practice, right? My work with children and adolescents in play therapy and with my adults as well. Um, and it's this concept of shared trauma, of just going through the same events, right? The same experience, the same phenomenon as my clients. I know that from day one, right? In clinical trainings and when we are in our master's programs and even in supervision, we're trained to focus on our client, to focus on their story, their healing, their experience, their meaning making, and bear witness, to be curious, to lean in, right? Like all of these things we're taught from day one as clinicians, as counselors. Um, but what if we're not just bearing witness? What if this experience is something that we're living alongside our clients, right? A very, I guess recent past experience example would be COVID, right? As a clinician, I was experiencing COVID. My clients were experiencing COVID. We were having reactions, and I needed to make sense of them. Currently, right now, with everything that's going on in our society, the community violence, right? I can't open up TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, any of these social media outlets, or even just the news without seeing terror, without seeing fear, without seeing people being accosted, chased, ripped apart from families, children crying, screaming, right? All of that is heavy in my heart. It is sometimes hard to wake up in the morning without feeling the enormity of the pain in our society. And then being in session with my kids when they're showing those same themes, showing up in ways that are just also pain. They're also experiencing these events, and they're talking to me about it. They're playing these themes out. They are trying to process the pain that I feel like I'm feeling too. And so there's a fine line, right? There's a fine line between where does my experience begin and end, and where does my clients begin and end, and how am I making meaning of it, and how am I navigating that? Because it isn't like vicarious trauma. It isn't like compassion fatigue. It isn't like countertransference. It is something completely different. And it's important for us to name it, because if we don't name it, then we can potentially really mess up with our clients, right? We can potentially start putting our own meaning making onto our clients and not really see or feel what's going on for them. And one thing that I've noticed with my own work, right? I didn't mention this previously, but I have worked in after disasters, right? I've gone after hurricanes and earthquakes to work after disasters, and had the opportunity to work with some of the clinicians who were in the front lines, right? Like they were the people that were experiencing these losses at the same time as trying to help people heal. And they mentioned that there's so much self-disclosure happening, right? Like they talk about themselves also being hungry, losing their home, and talking to their clients about these experiences. And that what they noticed was that there was a close rapport, connection. There was solidarity there. There was, it's almost like rather than being with, we were doing with, we were experiencing with clients. And so I talk about this in the terms of self-disclosure. I believe that it's okay for us to really talk about what's going on for us when we are experiencing these collective traumas, right? These collective experiences of pain, not had the client, take care of us in a way that it completely shifts the focus, but in order to share that we're here with them and experiencing this with them, and that this is hard, and that we're human, and that we're living this human experience alongside with them. And so I share this in that I know that I'm not the only one, and that sometimes it's really hard to put a word to an experience. And once we have that word, once we have that name and that label, we can start figuring out like what to do with it. Like how do we work through it? How do we navigate it? What are our next steps? And so yeah, so I think that, if anyone's interested in talking about next steps, I would most definitely be open to having that chat. Maybe making this a little bit of a series. So let me know. All right. Bye.